ready to take your feminine dominance skills to the next level? Do you want to learn to dominate safely, creatively, and confidently? Are you looking for information on how to encourage growth, learning, and discipline? Or maybe you want to learn how to really submit in a woman-led dynamic. You're wondering how to find the right dominant partner for you. How can you learn and train to please her the best way possible? In this live, I'll speak from my perspective as a woman leading my relationship for nearly a decade, as a woman living a life beyond what I'd ever dreamed, with a partner I can barely believe is real. I'm glad you're visiting my world. Welcome to FLR, FemDom, and Women in Charge, presented by Dating Kinky and Curiouser.life. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I have to say, 7 o'clock a.m. comes really early on Wednesdays, and yet I love starting the morning off talking about FLR, FemDom, and Women in Charge topics. So hello, hello, hello. For those of you who do not know me, I am Heather, also known as Nookie. I consider myself a hedonistic, dominant, cuckoldress pimptress who is polyamorous and monoromantic. I do live a full-time woman in charge lifestyle with my partner of nearly 10 years. It is full of love, sex, passion, adventure, and exploration. And because I feel like everyone out there who wants a relationship like this can accomplish it, can get one for them their very own selves, I write books, I teach workshops, and I offer coaching for better love, sex, romance, and kink for people of all genders, relationship statuses, orientations, and more. And of course, I do these lives. So I want to be very clear here. I'm not a sadist. I'm not a disciplinarian. I really generally dislike hurting people. In fact, I describe myself as a compassionate compersionist. It makes me happy and it fulfills me to help people and to make or to see them happy, which is part of why I do what I do. I believe that more people in this world could be happier in their relationships, in their lives. And so I do this. I go live every day. But as much as I love to make people happy, I'll hurt you if I love you. Today, I'm going to be exploring some nuances of women in charge dynamics that are rarely shown or explored in porn or social media. And we're going to dive a little deeper into how these dynamics play out. Please don't forget to comment or ask your questions in the chat. I love engaging and I keep an eye on the scroll at all times. If you could pop in there, let me know that you're here. Say good morning. Let me know where you're signing in from. That would be lovely. I know a lot of people will reach out to me later and say, hey, in the morning, I'm usually listening to you like on my way to work or whatever. So I know not everyone can comment on these early morning get-togethers. So as I said, I am not a sadist. And those of you who follow me know I love to define words. So let's talk about what sadist actually is. Noun, psychiatry, a person who has the condition of sadism in which one receives sexual gratification from causing pain and degradation to another. And that definition led me to the next definition, which is sadism, noun, psychiatry, the condition in which sexual gratification depends on causing pain or degradation to others. Compare masochism, 2, any enjoyment in being cruel, or 3, extreme cruelty. I'm not that at all. I'm not about being cruel for cruelty's sake. I don't like the word cruel, except when it's used in jest. I do not receive sexual gratification from another's suffering. My sexual gratification does not depend on pain or suffering in any way. It's merely a facet of what I do, and a very small facet. I personally don't like to cause pain. I like to cause desire and feel connection. So for me, specifically, pain and suffering is generally like a lady boner killer. I know that's not true of everybody, and I'm going to today attempt to present both a different view of what we do in this lifestyle when it comes to exchanging pain, giving pain and receiving pain, and also share different points of view. Aside from the joy I share with my partner or partners when we play spanky, floggy, whippy games together, I could quite literally spend my whole life not hitting anyone ever. And I would be happy and satisfied and fulfilled because I'm not a sadist. Many dominant women are not sadists. In fact, by the technical definition, I would say the vast majority are not. By the lifestyle definition, I would say most are not sadists. And this is an important point because it not only changes how you might understand your relationships in deeper, more intimate ways, but also if you are a submissive, searching how you might be approaching potential women in charge. All wrong. Good morning, Cobalt. How are you today? Before I progress, I would like to share the reminder. My personal philosophy in life and love is that when it comes to any kind of relationship, women-led or otherwise, what works for one couple may not be what works for another. So I'm a big fan of do what works. And let me say that again, do what works. That is one of my main mantras in life, as well as in my relationships. So please take what works for you and your partner or partners from this series and leave the rest, right? Or use it to expand your understanding of what works for other people. But please don't ever think that I'm telling you what to do. I'm a dominant. I am not your dominant. I am just sharing with you information that I have collected through my over 30-year now journey through kink and the lifestyle to help you figure out for yourselves what works for you and your partner or partners. Hello, Petro. Good morning. How are you doing today? So I did a quick informal survey about sadism across a few social sites. Again, this is very informal. This is very quick. It was maybe a few days old. And I asked the following questions. One, I asked them to let me know if they were answering from a top, dominant, or both perspective, and then also to note if they are also a switch. So when I speak of topping or dominance, I'm talking about two different roles. And I'll actually be discussing that at noon today in the Dating Kinky Book Club when we dig deeper into the various roles in the lifestyle and how we can identify ourselves when we are interacting with other people in the lifestyle, dating, searching for love, etc. Number two, would you consider yourself sadistic in the psychiatric sense, i.e., you receive sexual gratification from causing pain and degradation to another for the sake of pain? Number three, would you consider yourself sadistic in the lifestyle sense? For example, you enjoy and even receive sexual gratification from causing pain and suffering specifically, and this is key, when another desires it. Right? So question number two is, do you get off on pain, period? And question number three is, do you get off on pain when you know your partner wants pain? Number four is, would you identify more with the idea that you enjoy pain and suffering because it fulfills your bottom or your partner in a compersionistic way? For those of you who don't know the term compersion, it is taking pleasure in another's pleasure. So when you see someone smile, compersion is you feel like smiling as well. It is a type of empathy that specifically focuses in on the knowledge of someone else receiving pleasure or feeling good. Okay. So number four is, would you identify more with the idea that you enjoy pain and suffering because your partner enjoys it and you enjoy it for them? So like, my partner is a cyclist and he loves watching YouTube videos and geeking out about like all the different things he can do cycling, watching trail videos, watching equipment reviews, whatever. I have almost zero interest in any of that. However, it tickles me when he gets himself like a new gadget or whatever, and he gets excited about it, right? So that is compersion. I am feeling happiness and pleasure at his happiness and pleasure. Petro says, very well thought out questions. Thank you. And then number five is, do you specifically seek out relationship partners based on their pain tolerance or desire for pain or suffering play? I thought that was an important question to ask because I've been asked that more than once. And then number six is, any other thoughts that you're willing to share on this topic, for or against, and inviting them to share personal stories. I did mention that I'd be talking about causing people pain in kink from the perspective of FLR, FemDom, and women in charge relationships, and that I was specifically looking for feedback, right? The responses I got were delightful, and I'm going to share a few with you. But first, I'd like to talk about the numbers. As of this morning, when I totaled everything up, of the women who responded, so now there were quite a few people who responded who did not identify as women, and that's fine. But of the people who did identify as women or femme-centered who responded, 17.3% said yes for considering themselves sadistic in the psychiatric sense. They receive sexual gratification from causing pain and degradation to another for the sake of pain. So that's fewer than 1 in 5. Right? The yeses were close to 90% for question number 3, considering themselves sadistic in the lifestyle sense that they enjoy giving people pain because those people enjoy the pain. And there was a lot of discussion about consent. Like, they enjoy giving people pain, but there is a consent factor. Like, they're not actually sadist in the psychiatric sense of they go about causing, random people pain just because they get off on it, right? They're not like serial killers or serial torturers or anything like that. but the consent is a huge factor. Number 4, focusing in on pain and suffering because it fulfills their partner or bottom in a compersionistic way, hovered close to 85%. Right? You see where I'm going with this? And to the question of, do you specifically seek out relationship partners based on their pain tolerance or desire for pain or suffering play? All but one said that was not a major factor for their relationships, although several noted that they do seek out play partners with a high pain tolerance. So John Davick, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, please let me know, posted a comment a couple of days ago on another video of mine and said, after watching more than a few of your videos, I've determined that you're a dynamic and serious woman, much more than I found on other YouTube sites. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Can a man have a fulfilling FLR that does not involve corporal discipline? Is spanking or whipping always a part of those relationships? I find as I'm getting older, my desire to get a beating are diminishing. John, your answer is, from me, yes. A man can have a fulfilling FLR that does not include corporal punishment. And I will still, as I said in my reply to you, do a full video on that. But I realized as I was compiling these results this morning that you might want to note how few women are looking for a relationship based on pain. Right? Petro says, would that include those that get off sexually for creating pain for question 1? So I think the key in question 1 is if you get off sexually creating pain, yes. However, then 2, 3, and 4 go more into, but do you only enjoy getting off creating pain when your partners are consenting and or enjoying it as well? And that's where things, I think, get a little bit more interesting, because I feel that in a lot of social media tropes and porn and so on and so forth, they present the sadism of FemDoms and women in charge and dominatrices as being intrinsic to the role, right? You do this and you didn't get it quite right, so I'm going to hurt you. And it has become, in many people's, minds, hearts, etc., sort of a thought that if you do not like pain, you cannot be the submissive in a woman-led relationship. Or that if you hope to get into a woman-led relationship, that you must take punishment and or pain, just like John Davick had asked, must I be in a corporal discipline relationship in order to be in an FLR, FemDom, or women in charge relationship? And to me, of course, the answer is very obviously no. However, because of porn, because of social media, because of how people talk about these things and present these things, especially from a fantastical perspective, I feel that people get the wrong idea. So that's a big part of why I'm talking about this today, is diving deeper into exactly how we exchange pain, how the pain exchange, like a power exchange, happens within this lifestyle, and how it's different from how many people think it happens. So Cobalt says, gosh, I hope so, in response to, can you be in an FLR, FemDom, and woman in charge relationship without corporal punishment? And then adds, my body gives me enough pain. Dominance is different, in my humble opinion. And I agree. Absolutely. So the survey responses I'm going to share with you were taken specifically from FetLife only, where I asked for permission to share. On other sites, I simply tallied up the numbers as part of the overall whole. So, some of those survey responses. Clementine Tango says, it definitely turns me on, but I think it's more of a secondhand power rush that comes from the in-baked power differentials between pain receiver and pain giver, grappling with those to receive pain, bottom, from a submissive service top, while within dynamics where I'm still dominant. So this person is a submissive service top who is giving pain and enjoying the power rush that comes from the differentials in power. Also mentioned, exploring my sadist side has been thrilling, exciting, but a little scary. There's a lot of unpacking to do. I'm very much at the start of that journey. Bringing someone to tears through sadism for the first and so far only time was the biggest rush I've experienced through kink and was overwhelmingly beautiful, peaceful, fulfilling, and rewarding. Aftercare was intensive, and afterwards I felt like I'd meditated for hours rather than done something sexy. In the weeks after, I didn't drop per se, but I did at times feel flashes of guilt about not dropping, as if I were a monster for enjoying the experience. It's hard to quiet that voice built on stereotypes and society, but to a point, I think it's healthy to listen to it. So, note here some of the words that are being used, right? Beautiful, peaceful, fulfilling, rewarding, intensive aftercare, right? And then also noting that in this case, this femme identified person is feeling flashes of guilt about not feeling worse about it after doing something that was entirely consensual with somebody who I'm assuming, based on this overall writing, that it was also beneficial to them, right? They got the catharsis of tears. Petro says, I attract sadists like flies on honey, being a heavy bottom masochist. How do I change this being the main attraction to a relationship with me? Let me continue on with some of this. And I think that at the end, we can circle back around to that question for sure. All right. Cobalt says, wow, complex humaning. Oh, sure. Absolutely. So Coffee X said, I get off on inflicting pain. Here's the key, but more so on masochists enjoying and embracing it and pushing themselves to take more. While I love it, inflicting pain is not about making my partner smaller or in any way less for me, any more than enjoying embracing pain as a masochist makes me smaller or lesser than my dom or play partner. And she added, I think a lot of non-S&M kinksters assume sadists just want to inflict pain regardless, whereas I think in reality there's a lot more nuance within it, especially when factoring in what draws people to it in the first place. I think that's key. There's a lot more nuance within it, right? So a dear friend of mine here locally said, in order for me to enjoy another person's pain, I have to have strong experiential evidence that they enjoy pain, that they'd enjoy it if I inflict it, that their mental health would benefit from that experience, and that their psychological profile, history, and behavior, in my estimation, align with healthy processing of that pain. Wow. Now, Miss Kizzy Listener and I, in many ways, we're like two peas of a pod in a pod. And that is incredibly powerful. She has, in order to enjoy another person's pain, she has to know that they enjoy the pain, that they would enjoy it if it were coming from her, and that their mental health would benefit from the engagement between the two of them of that pain exchange and be healthy for them. She added, I'm skeptical until thoroughly convinced. Yeah. Cobalt says, almost compulsive pride. Yes, absolutely. So Mayati said, I am a reaction fetishist and like to give intense sensations, not necessarily pain, and receive intense and authentic lustful reactions. I also find partners sexually attractive that can take and also crave some amount of pain and are not afraid of it. Also, in the case of straight male partners, I find it attractive that they have the power and confidence to break with gender stereotypes. Okay, so I think that there's something really, really key here. Reaction fetishist, intense sensations, intense and authentic, lustful reactions. And then power and confidence to break with gender stereotypes. So again, we're getting, I think, much deeper into the idea of what is pain, what is intensity, what is sensation, right? And what is attractive about these things when we engage in kink and BDSM together. Username Matrica said, I enjoy the control and delivery of pain when the other person desires or gains pleasure from it. I like to use pain to explore sensations and play at the edges where pain and pleasure meet. I'm cautious not to push things too far psychologically or physically for the other party, but I do enjoy the opportunity to dish out a little pain. Probably the most common thing I've come across is people believing they are submissive when they are really emotional or physical masochists. When this happens, it needs good communication to clarify as it changes the dynamic. Ooh. People believing they're submissive when they're really emotional or physical masochists. Because a lot of people are told, well, if you like pain, you must be a submissive. And that is not necessarily the case at all. Right? Just like a lot of people, men specifically, are told if you like kinky bottoming of any sort, if you like to be tied up in rope, if you like to be pegged, whatever, that you must be submissive. And that's not necessarily true either. They might be a masochist. They might be a kinky bottom. They might be submissive. They might be any combination of those. Right? Petro Huff says, so agree with her. Yeah, 100%. Bike Night said, or By Night, I think I got that right. By Night said, my style that I tend to default towards is very playful. I've described it as baby dom or baby top, like I'm baby and you're my toy. I'm going to have so much fun playing with you. Right? Cobalt adds, or hedonist. So you could be a kinky bottom, you could be a masochist, you could be a submissive, or you could just be a hedonist wanting to do and try all of the things. So yes, good point. A local to me, someone who's here in my local area, Topish, said to me, my sexual response to a bottom's pain only happens when they don't like it, want it, or at the very least, they need to be conflicted about it. I would say that I'm not a serious sadist in the sense that when I'm indulging my sadist, I don't need to cause a lot of pain or for very long. But if I'm giving them pain, especially if they clearly don't like it and are making noises that show that, I usually orgasm. And she also said, I actually avoid pain sluts because it's a lot of work to dish out at that scale. So you can see there that Topish actually goes against the grain of what we're seeing overall in responses from women, and is focusing primarily on pain that the bottom is experiencing consensually still, but does not enjoy or want the pain, but suffers through it for other reasons, right? Specifically, I'm guessing for Topish herself. I also have a lovely piece of audio from one of the responses. I thought that the writing was incredibly delightful, and I wanted to share it with y'all, but because it wasn't my writing, I asked the author if she would record it for me in audio so that I could share it with you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. It's about 3.5 minutes long. So
I am a sadist. Watching people hurt makes me smile. It makes my mouth water, my breath faster, the world brighter. It doesn't make me smile. It makes me grin. But sadism has shadings, and this is mine. I will never push you off a cliff, or trip or trick you off of it, but I will show it to you and invite you to step over it. If I saw your eyes brighten and your lips part and your energy shine at the thought, I would make it happen. The research, the contacts, the prep work, the safety, the materials, the cleanup, even a fair amount of the cost, all to get you to that moment where you stood at the edge of the cliff, the moment when you decide whether you will take that step over it. Because Jesus Christ, humans are beautiful in their extremes, and if you go over, when you go over, with terror and joy and pain in your eyes, I will share every bit of it with you, make sure you land safely, and laugh with you at the wonder of being alive. I want to hurt you, not to break you, to release you. I want you to find your edge, to explore, to lose all of the bullshit that clutters your heart and mind and discover who you really are. And to see that you are strong and weird and beautiful and goddamn magnificent. The phrase, "I can't believe I'm doing this," is music to my ears. I live for that shit. I don't want you to suffer unwillingly, to punish yourself, to endure out of duty or obligation or trade, to be frayed and shattered just because I can and you want to please me, or because you're scum who deserves it. I want your trust that you can do this. I want your suffering to be an offering to the world. I want you to crave experience wherever it takes you. I want seekers. I want to help you see God until everything drops away and you are taken outside of you and see that all of it doesn't matter, because who you are is more than the sum of your parts, that you are glorious and glorious in suffering, and nothing can touch the you that is when everything else is gone. I want to create beauty from suffering, from trust and courage and human extremes. I want to give you an ordeal, a challenge I know you can endure, a triumph over your own mind and body. I want to find your fear and destroy it, because there is nothing more to you, because there is more to you than this body and this moment and this pain. I want to show you that suffering cannot touch you, so you walk away exhausted but whole, impurities and base metals burned away in the fire. And then When you are ready, I want to do it again. Harder. Because I am a sadist. And this is how I channel it. And Jesus, that look in your eyes.
Wow. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did when I first read it. It was so incredibly powerful for me, and so very different from how I see pain and the exchange of pain, and yet still so very connected. And I think that it's important to note how so many of these responses, while even talking about or focusing on pain, are really incredibly focused on the connection, the humanity, speaking to a very specific person or human that each of these people cares enough about to want that from them, to want to take them to that level, to want to share that journey with them, right? It's not some random person off the street. You, I want to hurt you. It is this person. I want to hurt this person right here for these specific reasons. So to me, the idea that dominant women are cruel for the sake of cruelty or cause pain for the sake of pain, to me is way too small of an idea. And while that may be true in the case of some women who are definitely focused in on sadism and experiencing pain, it is also not nearly complex or nuanced enough when it even comes to them and who they choose and why they choose them. Right? Cobalt says, fan self, and I'm not even a masochist. So real quick, please don't forget to like this video and share it wherever you may have found me. It is a huge, huge help for me to have people recommend me to friends, family, and the groups or pages or the social media sites that you spend time on online. And thanks so much for that. So thus far in our discussion today, I have focused primarily on physical sensations. So, what about emotional? It's funny because when it comes to abuse in relationships, the court system tends to focus primarily on physical abuse and seems to think that emotional abuse is barely worth mentioning. And I think the opposite, actually. I have been hit. I have been emotionally abused. And personally, I recover from the physical as an adult. Let me be very clear about that. I've recovered from the physical much more quickly than the emotional. And now let me be clear. I've volunteered with domestic violence victims, and very rarely is it just physical. Very rarely. Because if it were, most people would leave as soon as they were hit the first time. But they don't, because they're also emotionally manipulated and abused into thinking it's their fault, they deserve it, they are not worth better, and so on. And those mind rots, that is what really sticks with most people over time. The feeling of not being good enough or worthy of better. So I'm personally incredibly sensitive to how I treat others. It's the core of my compassionate self, the part of me that wants to help others find their joy and happiness and sense of self-worth. So I'm also not an emotional sadist, but I do enjoy some humiliation play with my partner. So, real quick, if you are loving this content, did you know I've recently started offering coaching? Yeah, I have. If you would like to spend some one-on-one time with me, supercharging your FLR, FemDom, or Women in Charge relationships with a custom plan based on your personal needs, then visit me at coachnookie.curiouser.life. And I will help you with your dating, with your relating, with your connecting, with your troubleshooting, whatever it is you're looking for. Now, please, of course, don't think that you are ever not welcome to join me here, because I love having you on these free live events. And of course, you can also join one of my membership options or workshops, and I'll talk about Plus here in a few. I just know that some of you want more and you thrive with that personal accountability. You'll get so much more done in a short period of time than you were able to do over years by having somebody hold you accountable and give you each step by step, rather than listening to these lives and figuring it out as you go. So you asked for it, and I'm offering it, and I've got some people taking advantage of it and really enjoying it and getting themselves moving forward. And I'm loving that. So now let's get back to FLR, FemDom, and Women in Charge. I hurt you because I love you. Cobalt says, I think emotional abuse is still considered normal because most of us have never learned to handle conflict any other way. And I definitely think that's true. And therein lies part of the issue, is that hitting someone, there's definitely a delineation. Most people are taught you're not supposed to hit people. However, saying mean things to people is still considered normal, human. This is just, how you do things. It's totally okay to call somebody a jerkwad or a butt wipe or a dingleberry if they do or say something mean to you. Whereas in most cases, it is not okay to hit somebody if they do or say something mean to you. It is also oftentimes not even okay to hit somebody if they hit you first, depending on the situation. So I agree with you that emotional abuse is actually far too common in our society and accepted in just everyday life. In fact, I have had people, when I say, hey, maybe we should stop being shitty to one another as people in different situations, people have actually shouted at me that they have a right to be shitty to one another. They have defended that right to be shitty to one another. And yeah, that's a whole nother rant I could go off on for hours. Here's the thing, though. My pet, my sweetie, the love of my life, my sun, moon, and stars, my other half, my everything, is an emotional masochist. He loves to feel shame for several of his, what to call them? Well, failings that are entirely self-perceived. Petro says, love the I hurt you because I love you. My ex was like that. Gotta go. Have a good day. Bye, Petro. For a long time, humiliation was a hard limit for me. Probably in large part due to my experience with my emotionally manipulative and abusive ex-husband, who used shame liberally in his efforts to control me. It actually, for a while, caused a physical reaction in me to think about it. and not the sexy kind, right? More like the, oh, fuck no, how horrifying type of physical reaction, like gut twisting, shortness of breath, and a pain in my figurative heart, right? Thus, my hard limit. And he accepted that about me, and we found plenty to do. However, that hard limit of mine, butted up against his desires over and over. Not because he pressed the issue in any way. He's not like that, but because I am, in many ways, the complement to a sadist. I get off on pleasure. I'm a compersionist. And when I accidentally mention something that could be taken as shaming or humiliating, his pleasure at the feeling literally took my breath away. And I learned a thing. Even negative emotions have their place in pleasure and in healing. And I credit him for that. And I've taken that very much to heart. And I've learned in our kinking together to play an emotional sadist. And I love the dynamic that we've created because I know it's play and he knows it's play and he grows stronger with it and we grow stronger together. Not unlike how I physically play with people. So think about that. And real quick, before I move on, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our Plus membership. You can find out about Plus at getplus.datingkinky.com. That's getplus.datingkinky.com. If you love this content and you want more education on love, sex, romance, kink, and of course, FLR, FemDom, and women in charge dynamics, there is not a better offer than our Plus. I promise you this. Join Plus and you'll get access to my books, FLR, FemDom, and Women in Charge. And because I said so, a collection of sexy, thoughtful, and loving women in charge writings, parts 1 and 2. You'll get over 40 hours of amazing women in charge presentations taught by people who love and live the dynamic from around the world, like financial freedom to ultimate sexual freedom, a discussion of women-centric non-monogamy, practical chastity for people with penises, creating contracts for MS or DS relationships, and red flag submissives. Of course, there's dozens more. For only $9.99 a month, you get access to all of that. Special benefits on our dating apps and over 300 hours of additional content on power exchange, relationships, communication, rope, navigating the kink scene, mental health in kink, and so much more. And if you're not yet ready, although what are you waiting for? Seriously. Please don't forget to like, love, or subscribe to this channel wherever you're finding me so you don't miss a single live. My sadism is compersive. I don't hurt people for myself. I do it because they want it, need it, crave it. Not because I'm a sadist. I'm not. Because I love them, so their happiness contributes to mine. Their needs are important to me. What they crave matters. So I will hurt them. Because that's their happy place, their floaty place, their catharsis place. Their dancing among the stars as they whirl around you place. their expiation place, their after it's all done, I'm peacefully centered place. Cobalt says, thank you for being here today. I'll be at the dentist later, so I'm glad I woke up for this. And I crave healing and growth, and sometimes that's a bit ouch, but in a clean way. Absolutely. And that's something that I think is important to note, is that I draw a parallel between the people who learn to take pain, emotional pain, physical pain, in scenes in the lifestyle, and people who learn to accept and work through pain as they grow and learn in life. Not that they necessarily do both, but that people who can do the lifestyle pain have a larger capacity for the psychological healing and growth pain than they probably know. Quick question. Do you have any questions about what we've covered here today? If you're with me live, pop them into the chat. If you are watching the replay, leave me a comment, shoot me a note, whatever. Here's the thing. I say I hurt you because I love you, because I do enjoy hurting them. I take the journey with them. And I join them there in that place. Just like they sometimes join me in my geeky place as I try to work out a complex UI, or as they traipse from thrift shop to thrift shop with me in my hunting for that thing that I'll know it when I see it place. As they go roller skating with me in my nostalgia place. As they bring me flowers and romance me, court me, and pamper me in my I need to feel your adoration place. I've heard from others fairly often things like, I can't beat so-and-so like I used to. I love them too much. And I can't comprehend that. I don't beat anyone I don't love, at least a little. I don't hit someone to see that look of taking it, holding on, handling it, and suffering unless I adore them. I don't beat anyone hard until they weep and cry and break down for me unless I am deeply, wonderfully, crazily in love with them. Because it's not about me. It's about them. And it's about us and the journey we take together. And again, in those other experiences that I've shared with you, every single one of them commented on the connection. What we share, what we get out of it from the other person, with a focus on the other person. I hurt people I hurt because I love them. And if they want to just cuddle, I will absolutely do that too. Andre, hello again. Just wanted to mention that I enjoy your channel with the fascinating topics of discussion, and best of luck with its continuation. P.S. You seem like such an affable, gorgeous woman. Well, thank you, Andre. I appreciate that. And I'm glad you do enjoy it. I have recently, as I've been going through the mental preparation for these surgeries and going through the surgeries that I'm going through. For those of you who don't know, I was diagnosed last year with BRCA1 genetic mutation that led to an 87% lifetime chance of breast cancer. My mother passed at 42 of a very aggressive breast cancer, and I am 49. So I chose to have a full hysterectomy and prophylactic double mastectomy, which I had the double mastectomy on February 3rd. It is March 29th right now. And yesterday I went in for my last quote unquote fill up on my temporary reconstructed breast. And this week we'll be scheduling my next surgery. And during this process, I learned about this last year and have been going through the process of preparing for all of this and mentally and physically and so on and so forth. I realized that I wanted to spend more time going live with people engaging with me. And so I am doing more of that on this channel, Dating Kinky, and on the Curiouser channel. We are also in the process of rebranding to Curiouser, excuse me. And over the next month or so, this channel, this Dating Kinky channel, will actually become Curiouser and Kinkier. I think actually Cobalt, you might have recommended that, Curiouser and Kinkier. And will become a part of the overall Curiouser brand. This channel will focus entirely on alternative relationship stuff, non-monogamy, kink, women-led dynamics, that sort of thing. And the Curiouser channel will hold the content that is more vanilla and edge case. So that will also have non-monogamy, but it will focus primarily on the love, sex, romance aspects of things. So you're going to see a little bit of shaking up here and there, but I do hope that those of you who enjoy this channel will continue enjoying it with me, and will also find me over on the Plus membership that we have, because a lot of what I'm doing here after a week to 10 days will be moved from the live on this channel over to our Plus membership. The full videos will be kept there, and we will be re-releasing clips, like a 2 to 5 minute clip from each video onto the channels to live in perpetuity, so to speak. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Cobalt says, love how the sweater, lip gloss, and earrings match. Thank you. I was feeling pink this morning, apparently. Thank you, as always, to each of you who chose to join me today. I love that, there were some of you who were here that just got the opportunity to really listen. And I hope that you do have the chance to comment later when you have a chance to get back to the replay. If you loved this discussion, please like and share it with others who would enjoy it. Also, if you love this, I would love to hear what you loved about it or what questions you might still have. Because again, these lives, I'm doing them for you. And I would love to know, what you really got into, what you might like to hear more of, what you have questions about, and would love to see me do a topic on. And please, if you are not yet following me or subscribing wherever you find me, please do, so you don't miss out on upcoming lives and you keep up with, what we're doing at Curiouser and at Dating Kinky and the workshops and the Plus and everything. Quick note, at noon today, so in 4 hours from now, I will be going live with the 5th episode of the Dating Kinky Book Club, and we are going to be talking about roles and identities in kink. So we're going to discuss the top versus bottom concept. We're going to talk about masters. We're going to talk about slaves. We're going to talk about hedonism. We're going to talk about cuckolding. We're going to talk about what all of these words mean and how we identify ourselves when we're engaging in kinky communities and the lifestyle and how we communicate who we are to others with the words that we use. So thank you all so very much again for joining me, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye, y'all.